Hello everybody, this is Papa Blue Shirt, and I'm going to show you how I install my LED lights. I got some LED recessed lights that I'm going to install, and I'll take you along for the ride. Alrighty, here we go. First thing, to install these LED lights, you need a hole saw. And I had a little bit of time trying to figure out which size to get because they always have them in millimeters, and you get a 4-inch pot light, you need a 4-inch hole saw. Majority of these items are made overseas and they're all in millimeters, but when they advertise them in inches. And what I found is, you buy a 4-inch hole saw, you're not really getting a 4-inch hole saw, you're getting a 3.97-inch hole saw. Now, in some cases, it wouldn't matter, but in other cases, if there's not much room, that 0.03 makes a big difference. So what I got is a 102 millimeter. Read that there, 102 millimeter. This is a bimetal hole saw, and this is what it looks like. As you see, I've already used it. I did a few sample runs on it just to see, which I would really encourage you to do some sample runs because you don't want to mess up your drywall. And hopefully I won't today, but how this hole saw works here, I'll show you. It has it's got a little Allen wrench, and in this particular hole saw, they gave me 4 drill bits. So that was really nice. I didn't expect that. In fact, I didn't even expect to get an arbor with it, and they sent an arbor too, so that was really nice. But anyways, all you do is you stick the drill in there. There's a little Allen wrench right on the side here, and you just tighten that up in there. Once that is tight, you'll take this and you'll stick it through, and you'll just spin it on until it bottoms out. Once it bottoms out, you can look on the inside there, and you can see these little pins. I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's a pin there, and then there's a little thing you turn on the back that makes those pins come out. And you might have to turn it a little bit just to make sure it goes in the holes. But once you get it in the right spot, it'll go in those holes, and that'll keep it. It'll feel like it's, not very strong, but it is because it's in those holes. And then you just put it on your drill, and be real careful because these things will pop off here, run across the floor, and mess everything up. I put a piece of carpet on the floor here. Just so if that would happen, hopefully it wouldn't cause no problem. But that's that. And then, after you handle that, I suggest that you wash your hands, because they put oil on that to protect it. And the last thing you want to do is put oil all over your ceiling. I'm going to try not to touch the ceiling, but you know how it is. You're not thinking and you just do it. So I'm going to go wash my hands, make sure I get all the oil gone, and I'll be right back. All right, and I'm back. These are the lights I bought. I'll get them open here. That saw I bought, I really like that saw. I think it was a very good deal. Here's what these 4-inch pot lights look like. Let's see them there. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the ceiling over here in this little tiny house that I made. This is what they look like. How it works is you pull these springs up and you just stick it up in there. So you do all your wiring up in there and everything. You get it all prepared, and then you just plug it in here, and then you slip these up, and it'll hold itself up on the ceiling there. And these are really thin. These are made to go right over top of a 2x4. If your stud is running across here, this thickness here is a 1/2 inch. So as long as you have 1/2 inch drywall, you could go right over top of the stud as long as you can get the box in there. There might be a little hard to get the box because the box is, here's what the box looks like. So as long as you could get that box in that hole, you'd be able to. And a lot of times you're doing a ceiling, you may have 2 or 3 lights in a line that runs right down the joist. And if you can't get it in the hole on one, you might be able to get another and just pass it down. So that is an option. It might make it a little more difficult, but it can be done. And the neat thing about these LED lights is there is no pot needed, no a steel pot. Usually with ceiling lights, you have to have a whole metal pot up in there, and you have to make sure you don't insulate on top of it and all these kind of things because of overheating. But because of these new LED lights, there's no heat hardly at all, so that's not an issue anymore. So in that respect, I really like these LED lights. And so let's stick this back in the package here. All the items I am using today, I'll leave a link for it in the description just in case you want to check it out. Also, but they don't tell you when you buy these things that you're going to need something. I bought 100 of these. You could buy 10 or you could buy 25 or whatever, but it's usually always a better deal to buy the bigger amount, so that's what I usually do. Because I like to have things on hand. But anyways, these little boxes, they're little plastic boxes, and they have the little knockout here. And you probably wouldn't have to put these in, but I always like to have things in when it comes to electrical, because I don't want to have no problems in the future. But anyways, this nice little plastic grommet here, it just snaps in there, and then it leaves a nice hole so the wire is able to go through without any problems, without wearing on the wire or anything. So like I said, I'll leave a link for those in the description as well. Okay, now I guess it's the moment of truth. I will say I'm a little nervous about doing this, because if it doesn't go right, you mess up your ceiling. But that's why I encourage you to do a few practice runs. Do a few practice runs outside on a piece of drywall, and you get the hang of it. I'm taking my drill, I'm putting it on low speed, and I'm going to run it backwards. And the reason you do that is you don't want it to be walking across your ceiling. Sometimes when you first begin to drill a hole saw, if you're off a little bit, it'll catch on the edge and it'll walk across the ceiling. And that's something that we don't want to do here. We want to make sure that we don't mess up what we got here. So I'm gonna go get a few things and I'll be right back. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to measure and verify that my holes are where I want them to be. What I did when I did drywall here, I put a screw right where I wanted the light, and I left the screw out a little bit so I could see exactly where I wanted it. And we're going to go 16 from the wall and then 8 from the edges. And as long as they're all that, 16, 8. We'll try to go for the wall here. 53 for the wall. 53 from the wall, yep. 8 and 16. So we're all in the same spot here. So I can go ahead and take the screw out here and aim it up here so you can see what I'm doing here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the one that is underneath the staircase, right on the edge of the staircase. And the reason I'm doing that is this is the least obvious spot in the whole place, and if there's a problem, I want to fix it before I get out to where it's going to be seen the most. And that's a trick that I've learned over the years. A lot of people, they like to work in the front of the house and get the front of the house all done, but by the time you get to the back of the house, you've learned a few tricks along the way, and it would be much better if you were to started at the back of the house, and by the time you get to the front, you learn those things as you're working on the house, and hey, I can do this. This here works a lot better, and the front of the house is what people are going to see most of the time. So that's just a trick I've learned over the years. Okay. Now, one thing to remember when you're doing these is we're going to be going backwards, so it's going to have the tendency to want to untighten the chuck. So you want to try to make sure it's in there real good. And like I said, you want to try to watch so it doesn't go flying off of there on you. So here we go. I got it on reverse. I'm going to stick it right in that hole that I already had. All right, that one went really good. All right, now I was able to fish those wires through there, and I'm going to go in get my wire tester so I can make sure there's no power going through there. It's always a good thing. Always a good thing to double check, because you only get one chance if it's on. Don't just assume because you turn it off at the switch that the power's off. I've learned that the hard way. Sometimes the switch is wired from the ceiling, so the hot will come into the ceiling box and then run back to the switch. So you turn off the switch thinking, hey, there's no power there, I just turned it off. But that's not the case. It's still hot inside the box. So that's something I learned the hard way, and I'm lucky I'm still here back in my early days of doing handyman work. And so, and one thing my son used to always do every time I would work on electricity, he'd sit in the background and wait for the opportune moment and go, zzz. And he would scare me half to death every time. I can do electricity. I've done a lot. I've wired whole houses, put in circuit breakers and everything, but I still respect it. What I have here is one of these little electrical testers, and how these work is when they sense electricity, they beep, and you push on the handle here, and right now there's no power anywhere. You know, see, there's no power. I don't have no power. But when you put it up to something that has power, it beeps. See, this one here, this one don't have no power. It's got a little thing here in the end that you can use when you stick it in an outlet. You just stick that in. Usually it's the black one, which is the small prong. Usually the big prong is the neutral wire. Okay. And so you can also tell if your electricity is hooked up the proper way, the hot will be on the small prong. Okay, now I'm going to verify that the power is off. Right now it's on. All right, that's the one. All right, now I can wire it up. Okay, once again, I'm going to verify no power. I don't like getting shocked. In case you haven't figured it out. I do not like getting shocked. what I've done is I've wired in all the boxes, and I went ahead and attached each of the lights. And now, as you notice during the time lapse, whenever I put in a light, I went ahead and tested the line. And the reason I did that is if there's a problem, I wanted to know which one the problem was at. And doing it that way, I was able to, if there was a problem, it would pinpoint it. But now I got them all up. This one I actually pushed up in the ceiling. That's what they're going to look like. Well, let's turn them on and see what they look like. Wow. These things are bright. Boy, that's really going to brighten up that area. Look at that. Bright, bright, bright. Okay, let me put this on a tripod here and let's see if we can get them up in there. Okay, what they got is these, let me turn them back off here so I don't get blinded. They got these little plastic things on them here, and that's what holds them in. But gotta be real careful when you push them up in there so they don't get bent the wrong way. But I just pull it down a little bit, and boy, it just feels like it's gonna break, but it didn't. Bingo! There's that one. Yeah, I guess they used to make these out of metal, and some of the reviews were saying that they didn't like that they were plastic now, but they seem to be okay. I only needed 4, but I bought a pack of 6 just so I could have a few extras, just in case there was any problems. Yeah, that spring just popped off on me. So I gotta see if I can get that back where it was. Yeah. I'm gonna do like I did the other one. Stick that in there first. There we go. Not something I'd want to take in and out very often, but looks like it's going to work. I think what was doing it was hitting this thing here. So maybe if I can avoid that somehow. Oops. Get this wire in there. Alrighty, see what they look like. Here's what they look like. Alrighty, now I'm gonna install my dimmer switch. This should take care of it. Make those switches, those screws go the same way. Okay, now we just gotta put the switch on there, and there, we're all set. There we go. Up and down. This angle, there we go. Almost all of them. Anyways, they operate our little pot lights. See how they work? They work good. They're really nice. They don't take up much room or anything, and they don't use very much power at all. So, alrighty. This is Papa Blue Shirt. Thanks for watching, and may the good Lord take a liking to you.
Day 15, the walkthrough. Coming soon.